here we are, the final RS800 championship ready.
I know, bit of the attack line, the launch line snapped from the boat.
This one's super simple, but is probably the most common problem you'll have on your 800 with breakages. Either rubbing on the end of the pole, block of the front of the boat pulling out are all very common breakages on the 800. So here's the old system with the launch line coming out the offset hole and the tack line and main sheet take-up elastic going through the centre of the donut. One thing we picked up from Luke was to run our launch line that goes around the end of the pole into the centre of the donut. This gives a nice smooth service and cuts down on any chafage at the back end of the pole. You then run your tack line and your take-up elastic through the offset hole. The other problem with the offset hole for the launch line is that depending on how the pole is rotated, that hole will be an inch further or closer away from the block in the front of the boat. This means your pole won't go out as far and means the tack line at the front of the boat will be either an inch off the end of the pole or worse, could be crimpling the sail tight into the pole. The next problem though is the cheek block screwed down into the front of the boat. Because that's in such a fixed position and isn't always correctly aligned to where the launch line is coming from, the launch line can often pull over the side of that cheek block and just be running on the bare metal and leads to a lot of chafage in that launch line. The other major problem is those cheek blocks, they're under so much stress as a pole moves around and so much leverage because the pole's so long that they can often rip out the deck. Our solution is basically to, in the place of where the cheek block screwed in, just to screw in a simple deck eye fitting in the two holes and then tie a block to that. Now in this picture the block's probably a bit far off the deck eye. You want it as close up as possible and you want your pole out as far as possible so that you've got the reinforced section of the pole out at the bow. But what this does by tying the block in there to a deck eye is it allows that back end of the pole to move around a little bit and the block to kind of articulate itself so it can receive the launch line from the proper angle without pulling over the side of the sheave. So if you make those changes, hopefully you won't have any more problems with the launch line snapping or the block pulling out the front of the boat. That's it for me. I've kind of run out of ideas for videos, but if there's anything else, then just hit me up in the comments and I'll try and make a video on that. Thanks.